When Buddha Siddhartha Gautama was born, it was prophesied that he would become a great king or spiritual leader. His father, King Suhodana, hoped for the former and confined the prince away from anything that might be distressing that would inspire him to adopt a spiritual path. Even the death of the prince's mother, who died a week after his birth, was kept away from him. The king surrounded the prince with earthly pleasures and luxury, but at age 29, the prince, who was curious about lives outside the palace walls, repeatedly sought permission to venture out to the capital. Despite the king's decree that all the roads and towns were to look perfect without any old or sick people, the gods, however, placed four signs: age, sickness, death, and an ascetic on the prince's road to change his fate. The first sight was an old man dressed in rags. The prince had never seen old people before. This sight was to show him that aging is inevitable in all beings. On another trip, the prince saw a sick man lying on the ground moaning in pain. That was to show him that all human bodies are subject to disease and pain. The third was a funeral procession of a dead man. It showed him that no one can escape death and everyone shall die one day. After seeing these three negative sights, the prince came upon the fourth sight, an ascetic in meditation under the tree. This provided him hope that he too can devote himself to living in peace. The prince decided to renounce his luxurious life like the ascetic to find out about why people suffer and how it might be possible to end this suffering. He underwent harsh ascetic disciplines of eating only a grain of rice a day, but still he could not find what he was looking for. He was revived by a milkmaid who offered him rice milk when his body could take it no longer. He eventually realized that the way to live was the middle way between luxury and poverty. The prince ended his asceticism and went to the nearby village where he sat under a bohi tree and vowed that he would remain there until he understood the means of living without suffering. Deep in his meditative state, the prince contemplated his life and experiences. He thought about the nature of suffering and fully recognized its power came from attachment. In a moment of illumination, he finally understood that suffering was caused by the human insistence on permanent states of being in a world of impermanence. Everything one was, everything one thought one owned, everything one wanted to gain is actually in a constant state of change. One suffered because one was ignorant of the fact that life itself is a change, and one could cease suffering by recognizing that since it was so. Attachment to anything in the belief it would last was a serious error which only trapped one in an endless cycle of craving, striving, rebirth, and death. His illumination was complete and he attained enlightenment as a Buddha or the enlightened one after 6 years of deep searching for these truths. This was the birth of the Four Noble Truths, the foundational teaching of Buddha to the world. The first three Noble Truths taught about the concepts of sufferings. The first Noble Truth, or dukkha, taught that life is unsatisfactory and full of suffering. When desires might be temporarily fulfilled, physical, emotional, or mental suffering cannot be avoided. In the second Noble Truth, samudaya, Buddha taught that the root cause of suffering is caused by desire or craving. Negative craving or tanha keeps humans attached to existence and cause them to be reincarnated again and again. Buddha named the three cravings as kamataha, craving pleasures of the senses, wealth, or power; vabha, Tanha, craving for a fixed identity or existence and not accepting that life is impermanent. Vibhava Tanha, craving to avoid pain and suffering or to avoid the reality of rebirth. Nevertheless, Buddhists recognize that there can be positive desires, such as the desire for enlightenment and good wishes for others. The third noble truth, Nirodha, is the realization that there is a cure for all suffering if one can avoid the difficulties life throws by stopping all cravings and desires. When humans break this cycle, they become free from rebirth and will no longer be born into another life of suffering. The fourth noble truth, Magga, in which Buddha set out the Eightfold Path, is the prescription for releasing sufferings. Magga, also known as the middle way, is believed by Buddhists as the ideal way to live. It is about developing and understanding positive intentions, skillful speech, action, and livelihood, making the right kind of effort, cultivating mindfulness, and mastering meditation. Doing so brings awakening or nirvana, a state of complete wisdom and compassion for the practitioners. It is no coincidence these four noble truths are called noble. To hear them is already the first step on the path that one day, even if lifetimes into the future, will bring us to becoming an awakened one, a Buddha ourselves. Thank you for watching. I will be sharing more in depth about the Eightfold Path in my next video. If you like my content, please like and subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. Sending you love, light, and peace.